This is the Vector Optics Continental 2-12 power MPVO, and while the scope is made in China, the lenses are German Schott glass, usually found in much more expensive German scopes. Does this make a difference? Ja, auf jeden Fall. Let's skip the boring unboxing videos and just take a look at what you get inside the box. This is a Vector Continental 2-12 power MPVO with a 44mm objective lens, a 34mm tube, and a first focal plane illuminated reticle, and the illumination is powered by a 2032 coin battery underneath this cap, and our illumination goes from 1 to 11, and it stops at 11. Interestingly, it doesn't keep on rotating back to 1. There is a off in between each of the intensity settings, and it shares the turret with our parallax focus, which goes all the way down to 10 yards out to infinity, and that turns quite smoothly. It has locking turrets, pull up to unlock, and it is quite audible and tactile positive with no slop in between each of the clicks. And each of the clicks is a 1/10 of a mil, and this is resettable. You can use a coin, and it does come with a little plastic tool to unscrew that center screw, pull up the cap to reset your zero. This is the replacement cap, by the way, the non-zero stop cap. It came pre-installed with a zero stop cap that has this nice little feature that you can find in some higher end scopes, like a loophole, where it is a turn indicator, a little pin that pops up. So after it has a nice solid zero stop, but when you do one rotation, that little red dot pops up, and so you can feel and see that it is protruding above the top of the turret. Do a second rotation and you'll see silver underneath the red. So that's a nice little high-end little plus. I took the zero stop turret off so that we could check our range of adjustments later, but that's easy enough to swap out, just like as easy as pulling off the turret. And our windage, also locking, audible, very audible, and tactile positive with no slop in between each of the clicks, and the clicks again are a 1/10 of a mil. And our magnification ring turns nice and smooth, and our diopter turns just as smoothly. And there's a little pin, or there's a little ridge here that shows you the position and how much of a turn you've put onto your diopter. And it is rubberized, so that functions as a little bit of a protective edge there to keep you from getting raccoon eyes should you put this a little too close to a high recoil weapon. So overall, build and construction of Vector Continental scopes are very nice. I'd put them right up against some higher end European brands in terms of overall design, construction, fit and finish. So, but of course, the important thing is, how does it look through the glass? And we're going to check that out next. Before we get started with the test, I'd just like to take a quick break here to talk about this episode's sponsor, Aura. For the cost of just a VPN, I'm getting a whole suite of security services, including $1 million in identity theft insurance, and they're even removing me from those damn data broker listings. Use my link, aura.com/moondog, and you can try them for 14 days, free. And if you use that link, you're helping to support this channel. You know, identity fraud is a real thing, and with AI, it's all too easy to spoof your identity. That's why you should try out Aura. All right, let's get back to the tests. We are looking at the peak of Mount Davidson, approximately 14 to 1500 yards away, with the scope set at its lowest power to give our best overall view through the glass. And this German Schott glass is amazing. Its color accuracy is just so spot on. It's like looking through a pane of window glass. And in terms of its sharpness, clarity, contrast, and brightness, it is amazing. Now, as we go up from 2 power up to about halfway in its magnification range, take a look at that fast acquisition ring and see how, because it's a first focal plane reticle, how this works out. Now, as I get it to about its halfway point, a little past 6 on the magnification ring, that fast acquisition ring totally disappears from our field of view, and that's how it was designed to work. And just looking at it at its halfway point, the overall image is still quite sharp, clear, and color accurate. Now, let's bring this all the way up to its maximum magnification of 12 power and take a look at that hilltop there. Again, I don't see any chromatic aberration. Usually we'll see some purple fringing in high contrast areas like where the trees are silhouetted against the sky. This view is just tremendous. And we can clearly see the trail marker sign on the top of the hill there. That is that white object peeking up above the bushes, a bit to the right and above the center crosshairs. And that is about a 3-foot-ish steel sign on top of a pole, which is a good proxy for an IPSC target at this distance. Let's take a look at the illumination on this tactical reticle. I'm going to turn it on to its maximum brightness of 11, and we can clearly see that center dot and center ring on the reticle. Let's bring down our magnification to 2 power. And yeah, that is still quite visible, including now the fast acquisition ring. And even in the sunlit sky, that is still quite visible. So yes, this is daylight bright. We're looking at the Vector Optics Continental 2-12 MPVO. We have the scope set at its lowest power of 2, and we're looking at our reference target board downrange at 100 yards. This is a good opportunity to check our range of adjustments, starting with our elevation. That is the very topmost. And let's see where this bottoms out. Okay, quite a bit of adjustments here. That is the very bottom, and we saw just the barest hint of the eye box peeking in there at the bottom. So this is a pretty generous eye box for an MPVO, and quite a broad range of adjustments for the elevation. Now let's bring this back to factory 0 on the turret. Now let's check our windage. That is the right extent. And that is the leftmost. No dead clips. Let's bring this back to factory 0 on this turret. Now let's bring up our magnification halfway to 6 power. You can see the outer ring of that reticle has almost disappeared entirely from our view. Actually, if I just bring this just a tad over 6, totally out of view, and we just get the center Christmas tree T reticle. Now let's bring this all the way up to 12 and take a look at what that looks like. It's, wow, very clear, very color accurate. It is exceptionally good ED glass. The shot glass is just wonderful. Now, this is an opportunity to do a box test here, since we are lined up with the bottom left highlight on that grid target. And I'm going to dial in 2.2 mils on our elevation. That puts us into the next corner. And 2.2 mils on our windage. That gets us to the next corner. Dialing our elevation back to 0, puts us into the next corner, and dialing our windage back to factory 0 brings us right back where we started. This is an opportunity to do a bit more of an abuse test, torture test on these turrets, and this is the nipple twister test coined by my buddy Cyclops Joe, and we're just going to turn the heck out of these turrets for a good 20 seconds or so. Alright, now let's just turn this back to factory 0. Oops, there we go. And, oh, wrong direction. There we go. I've tilted down the scope so that the reticle clears the 2 lower reference targets on the board. And on the paper target on the left, I can make out bullet hits on the reactive sticker target in the center, and I can't really see it clearly through the camera here, but with my naked eye, I could make out 2 22 caliber holes below that reactive sticker target. And in the resolution chart on the bottom right, I can make out both horizontal and vertical lines down to element 6 in group -2, and with my naked eye, finer still into group -1. Thanks for sticking with me till the end of this video, which probably means you liked it, so don't forget to hit that like button and the subscribe button and notification bell buttons, which is free. You don't get charged a subscription fee to subscribe to this channel. And if you're already subscribed, hey, thanks for doing that. And I'd also like to thank Vector Optics for sending out the Continental 2-12 MPVO for me to test out. Now, a good way to think about an MPVO is if you're used to using a traditional 3-9 power scope, this is that, but extra. It goes down to 2 power, which means you got a wider field of view at the low end. When you get to the top end, you've got like 30% more performance at long range. And this is a really excellent long range scope with its German Schott glass. The ED low dispersion glass that they're using here is just excellent. The color accuracy is off the charts, as well as is super bright, clear, and sharp. And the overall build quality. These turrets are excellent in terms of making adjustments for long-range shooting. And its first focal plane reticle also is conducive to that. It has an unusual kind of reticle design. It has a very broad and bold outer ring that makes it easier to center onto your target. And once you're centered on it, you can crank up the magnification, and the center reticle blooms up and enlarges, and you have a traditional T-style tactical reticle. At the low end, it's a little bit faint, probably a little too faint for my taste, but everybody's taste in reticles is a little different. Thankfully, this does have a fairly bright illumination on the reticle, though I wish, like everything else, I wish it was a little bit brighter as well. It's an unusual kind of broad circle at the low end. Actually, it's kind of similar to the EOTech Voodoo and also the Arkin Killbox reticle uses that kind of design. Let me know in the comments what you think of that kind of technique. Because of that, I kind of wish that this came with a throw lever. You can get a throw lever from Vector Optics, but I wish they would have included it with this, because this scope really does come to its own once you get it past 6 power in terms of being able to use that center reticle. And if you are interested in picking up this scope, I think it's a really great value. I've included affiliate product links as well as more information in my full written review at moondogindustries.com. You'll find a link to that article in this video's description. Use the links in that article to help support this channel, and you can always help support this channel by simply sharing this video to your friends and your range buddies on your socials. So thanks for doing that. Thanks for taking the time to watch the video. God bless. Moondog out. Hey, I'd like to know what you thought of this video. Leave me a comment or chat with me on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, MeWe, Instagram, or Locals. And if you want to see all of my videos, go to moondogindustries.com.